Okay, go ahead. Testa endelea, go ahead.
Okay, let's pour down for our word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, I want to thank you this evening. Call upon your name, Jehovah God, that you come to our midst. I want to thank you for being with us. Even since we had our last meeting, Jehovah, we want to appreciate you, God, because of what you're doing to us. Father, as we start this meeting today, I pray for each and every one of us, those who are within and those who are without. Father, you know even the deliberations that we are going to make. We ask you, Father, to bless us. Bless the ideas that we are going to share today here. Be with us as we start until the end. I pray all this, believing and trusting in our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Congoiros, we really appreciate. Welcome, members. Before I proceed, maybe just like to welcome everybody. I know that other people are going to join us. I circulated this meeting widely, and I really appreciate the members who have joined us. We might not, since we are very few, maybe we can introduce ourselves at Rakaraka level. We start from there. I'll start with myself. My name is Joel Chepkwony. People know me as Rubani. And this platform of ours, which we are using, although we are using the Zoom of Professor Prof Rotich, actually the platform was supposed to be for KRenaissance, but our Zoom cannot maybe have more people, but Professor can host up to 1,000 participants. In case I break, I'm in Southern Sudan, a place called Wau, in a village called Wau. So if you cannot hear me clearly, I would really request maybe Sabila Ngani. I know the professor will be very busy, and also Festus, who have the co-host powers. And if possible, Professor, you can also give Rose Chepkwony so that you can be able to monitor me. If I'm not clear, if I'm breaking at any one time, please let me know. Otherwise, we can do a quick introduction, and then we proceed from there. For me, I'm the organizing secretary for KRenaissance, and I'm just going to give a brief overview of KRenaissance before we hand over to our chief guest. So maybe we are not very many, we can introduce ourselves, if it is in order, Professor Rotich.
That is okay. It is your meeting. I'm just a guest, so I'm here I'll do it. I'm okay with what you are doing.
Kongoi, Professor. Thank you very much. Sabila, maybe you can start with you, Vice Chairman, then you go ahead and hand over, run the whole show from there. I'm handing over to you.
Hello, yeah. My name is Ngania Sabila. Thank you, Rubani, for giving me the opportunity. Like Rubani has said, I'm the Vice Chair of KRenaissance. It's a forum that Chepkwony will explain briefly. But thank you so much for all of you who have come, who have responded to our invite to come and listen to this kind of a presentation. So my name is Ngania Sabila. I'm from Mount Elgon, based in Eldoret, but working from Nairobi. Thank you.
Okay, Sabila, maybe you can invite the next person. You take over until we finish, and then I take over, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And Sabila, you have not given all the introduction that you are a very important person. You are a director and you deal with translation. And that's very important also, yes, to market yourself. You might link with Professor.
Yes, I deal with languages. Yeah, I work for an organization that deals with Bible translation. We have about 20 projects across the country in Kenya. And recently we have started venturing out of the country to South Sudan and Tanzania. And recently I was in South Sudan to just start off the work there. And maybe before Christmas, we'll roll down to Tanzania. Yeah, and of course, also within the Kalenjin fraternity, I have a lot of passion in terms of writing and producing materials in Kalenjin and also teaching Kalenjin because of my background and personal interest. I speak quite a number of languages, including Kikuyu, Luya, and a number of others. Thank you so much, Rubani, for that challenge to introduce myself slightly more. I want to give an opportunity to Festus to introduce himself. Festus, tafadhali.
It looks like Festus dropped. I don't see him on the.
Yeah, then maybe we can go to now Galaxy Note. I don't know who it is. Somebody you have not named your device. Maybe Juliet Moso. Juliet, kindly introduce yourself.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can. Kindly go ahead.
My name is Juliet Muso, Dr. Juliet Muso. I come from Kericho, but I'm a lecturer at Dedan Kimathi University, specializing in computer science. And I'm glad to be here. I also have some interest in CBC specifically, so I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Karibu sana, Juliet. Thank you so much for coming. Kapsandui Robert, most likely from Uganda or Mount Elgon. That's somebody from the Sabbath fraternity.
Are you getting me?
Yes, we are getting you, Kapsandui.
Hello.
Hello.
I am in a noisy place.
Yes.
I'm called Kapsandui Robert Zik, coming from Uganda.
Yes.
Sabila Ngania is my cousin.
Yes.
I can see him there. I'm so excited to see him.
You are welcome.
I'm new in this forum. I wasn't very much aware. I just saw it on my invitation. Then I decided to join it. Maybe I'll pick it up as we move on.
You're welcome, Robert. Yeah.
Okay.
Karibu sana, all the way from Uganda. We could. I see Festus has come back. Maybe you're having some challenges with the internet. Maybe you could introduce yourself, Festus.
Sorry, hi.
Hi, Festus.
Yes, sorry. I was doing a bit of change on the network service provider I was using. So, are you able to hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we are hearing you. Yes. Kindly introduce yourself.
Okay. Okay. My name's are Kirui Festus. I'm a resident of Kericho County, and I practice graphics and telecommunications. At the same time, I stand in as a coordinator of a company called Healthcare Solutions. Is in Minnesota. So that's what I currently do in Kericho County, and can say I do work almost globally with the telecommunication systems over here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, from Kericho. I think Maritime.
Hello.
Hello, Maritime.
Yes, thank you. My name is Joseph Maritim from Eldoret, a place known as Kamagut, and a lecturer of physics at Moi University. I'm glad to be in the group, though it is my first time.
Karibu sana. Yes, we are getting you.
Asante.
Karibu sana from Kamagut. Asante
Thank
sana.
you.
Yeah. Now, like I said, somebody has not named himself or herself Galaxy Note 9. One evolution Galaxy. Murgor Benson, kindly. Murgor, tafadhali. Murgor has dropped, or is still there? Could unmute and introduce yourself. Samuel's iPhone. I think that's the name of a device.
Vice Chairman Sabila.
Yes, yes. Looks
I
like
think some people might be having challenge with the network, like me.
and
if
devices,
you don't
yeah.
mind,
So
we can proceed. I'm seeing a lot of people are joining in as we go along.
joining. So, Prof, I think I take back to Rubani so that Rubani can, kindly, Rubani.
Sabila.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Sabila.
Okay, you can hear me, Sabila?
Yes, we can hear you. Can hear you.
I wanted to request.
Yes, please.
I wanted to request Sabila.
Okay.
Yes, please.
And
Sabila, you can hear me?
This is Kapsandri from Kampala.
Yes.
I've joined, but I might not continue much because of where I am.
Yes.
I'll be leaving, but I'll call Sabila for details. But please don't forget to enroll me for the next meeting. I'll make a follow-up for the later.
Kepsandui, before you leave, can you give us your views on CBC? Because that's the main reason we're here. Can you give us your views on the before you leave?
Professor.
I don't know whether Kapsandui is familiar with the CBC now that he comes from across, but it's okay. Kapsandui.
I come from Kampala, so I really don't have much.
Oh, you don't have relatives who are in the system?
I think that I can't say that I have zero views.
Okay. Share what you
we
have.
follow issues very closely.
Yes.
But just for where I am currently, I may not be able to be of much help on this issue. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm with the meeting.
Rubani, you can take over, kindly.
Rubani, I can go ahead and introduce myself. I think you're having technical issues there.
If there's challenges, Prof, just go ahead.
Let me just go ahead and so good afternoon or good evening there. Good evening in Kenya. Here
good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yes.
Good evening.
If you're not speaking so that we don't have that echo. Okay. So it is morning here. It is 11:30 a.m. in the United States. I am in Eastern Standard Time. So it is a pleasure to see all of you and thank you for your invitation. As Rubani has shared, or you aware, I am, my name is Professor Prof Rotich. I am a professor, right now I'm in Indiana, Bloomington, where I serve as an interim, as an associate dean for diversity, inclusion, and belonging at the IU University that is based in Bloomington. I was in North Carolina for 22 years where I worked as a program director, assistant professor, associate professor, full professor, department chair. And I do a lot of other community events, community engagements where I'm currently the president of the Kenya Scholars and Studies Association. I also started the Kenya Students in Diaspora Foundation to support students who are coming from Kenya. And I sit on a lot of committees. So this time around, I'm here as a member of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, where we have been charged by His Excellency the President. And on that note, we want to thank him for even including diaspora and everybody. So we are at this time, we are on a listening mode. We're still listening for views, so I cannot give you my views because I'm listening to your views, so I have to be very objective. So I'm just gonna share one quick slide. I think most of you are very familiar with the CBC curriculum. I will share one slide and then I will listen to your views, just an overall view of what is going on. Let me share this slide. Share. Okay, can everybody see that screen? Okay, So yes, so overall, this is what we are looking at this. So we are looking at the overall education. We're not just doing the CBC, which is really CBC is really competency based. So right now our CBC program, it has a 2-3-3 model, where the students spend 2 years in pre-primary, that is PP1, PP2, 3 years in lower in lower primary. So that is grade 1 to 3. And these are kids ages 6 to 8. And then we have the upper primary, that is 3 years. These are grades 4, 5, and 6. These are ages between 9 and 11. Then we have the lower secondary, that is grades 7, 8, and 9. Those are ages 12 and 14. And then we have the senior secondary that covers grades 10, 11, and 12. I think the main issue that we're dealing with here is that transition of the students. I will stop sharing because everybody has seen that. I just wanted to share that pictorial view. So this is the view where our students, give me a second. Festus muted. Okay, so this is where we have students who are doing, you all know that they're doing their exams grade 6 and grade 8. They're doing their exams at the end of the year. So the question that we're asking is, where would you like to see the grade 7s? Those are the lower secondary school. As it is right now, they're scheduled, the way the system is, they're scheduled to transition to secondary school. So the question is, in your views, where should the grade 7 be domiciled? Those who are finishing, where should they be domiciled and why? So share your views on what are the current issues that we have with the CBC. As you're aware that the CBC is a competency-based curriculum. It is really based on outcomes, focuses on the outcomes. It's learner-based, is heavily incorporating technology. It's supposed to. It incorporates parental engagement. So it's a very engaged program where the students and the parents should be engaged. It's a holistic program. If you look at the entire curriculum, it's focused on building a holistic child, a child who can function in the 21st century, a child who can be independent, a child who has skills and the knowledge, and the skills to function well in a society. And then it's also a global, prepares a global citizen, a citizen who can function as a citizen, who can get into the global society and contribute to the society, and not just a consumer, and contribute to the society. So based on those, what we'd like to hear is, what are your views on the CBC curriculum? What are your views on the what are your views on TVET? What are your views on teacher education? What are your views on the university education? So we are listening to everything. So with that now, I will be quiet so I can listen to your views. And I will submit the views as they come. So karibuni.
Professor, I'm back, Rubani.
Yes, karibu Rubani.
Sorry for that. Network hapa ni shida mingi. I think it is good you started. I hope you introduce yourself.
Yes, I did.
If you can hear me, I can do it.
Yes,
you did.
We can hear you
Okay,
very
well done.
Yeah, I already introduced myself, so let's just focus on the views. Yeah, introduce myself.
Excellent, excellent. So, Sabila, since you are in a place where the network is better, you can moderate.
Yes, that's okay.
Go ahead.
I think Prof has given us an opportunity to present our views. And yeah, I think the best would be for now. I know that sometimes it can be a bit chaotic, but you unmute and just speak up. I know maybe you would have said you raise your hand, but the device I'm using can give me a challenge. I'm using a phone, but it's okay. Let's try just unmuting and raising or giving our views to Prof because like she has given an introduction. She's part of the presidential committee that is looking at the CBC. And she has clearly said that at the present time, even if she may have her own views, it is like for them as a committee, they are in a listening mode so that they are collecting views and the people can present their views. And she has gone ahead to actually speak on the areas that people can speak into. So please feel free to unmute and give your views so that Prof can take in.
Yeah, I can see everybody. So if you want to raise your hand up, I'll be.
Yeah, then that would be very okay. Yeah, somebody can raise a hand
that way
virtually, and then you can. That would be a bit orderly. Thank you, Prof.
Yes, thank you. I don't see any hands up. And I invited some of the members I shared this with the members of the task force. So please say something. Don't make us look like. Okay.
Hi, how are you, Professor?
I am doing good.
This is Ruben Kemutai.
Karibu, Ruben.
How is US?
US is okay.
All right. Just to congratulate you having been included into the President Working Party on reforms.
Okay. Tell us your views now so I can go report something. What are your views on CBC, teacher education? What is going on? The TVETs, the university, anything that you want to say. In fact, our initial report is due to the president on the 25th. So anything you get, it's quick because we need to get it to the secretariat immediately. So
sure. What I can say is that CBC, well, is a good thing. Being a teacher, it's a good reform because it gives a holistic kind of education, and it tries to develop competencies in children at a very tender age. However, the elephant in the room is actually the issue of transition. So the issue of how junior secondary is going to be domiciled. Like I teach in a secondary school. Just at the beginning of this year, we
Ruben, where do you teach? Tell us where you teach so we can have a context.
I teach at in Keyo North sub-county, a school called St. Paul's Muno. So at the secondary level, we have just had one training. I happen to have been a trainer training others. So the issue has been that how it's going to be domiciled. And I think, you see, when this CBC came about, it affected two things. It affected the structure and the content. So at the secondary level now, we are supposed to receive them in January. And when we look at the capacity, we may say it's wanting in the sense that not all teachers in secondary school have been trained. And it would have been good if the training came earlier so that teachers can be able to internalize the content, because you see the methodology of teaching changes, the issue of pedagogy has to change. So like now we trained only 6 teachers in every school. And there are some schools that have close to 60, 40 teachers. So quite a number of them have not gone through the training. So that is where the issue is. So if they transit to secondary, that's a challenge that's likely to come up, unless there is going to be very hasty training, which is not foreseeable now, given that exams are just around the corner. After that, there is marking, then we receive them. So that's a challenge. So maybe if this could be domiciled in primary, if they could still remain in primary for the next 2 years, then they can change the content to suit, or rather to be done at the primary level. And then they can now transit to secondary for the next period. So if it is going to be 6 years, then they can have 2, which will now be done at the primary. So grade 7 and 8 can be done at primary, and then they can come for 9, 10, 11, and 12. So it just it will fit into the old structure. That by the time they are informed for that will be grade 12. And then from there, they can now transit to tertiary institutions, to the universities. So my feeling is that if they can continue to be primary for the next 2 years, then they cover that content, then they come to secondary in grade 9. That will be okay. So it will give us room now for more trained, internalized, and I think the issue of transition and that chaotic kind of double intake is not going to arise, because of course the infrastructure is not also in tandem with the additional admission of these students. That's one. 2.
Let me ask you a question before you go back to that. I just wanted to get clarification.
Yes.
So you are saying that
please.
only 6 teachers, and thank you again, Ruben. So you are saying only 6 teachers are trained in your school, but how many are not trained?
Depending on the schools, some schools are single stream, others double streamed, all the way to 6 streamed, even 10 streams. So in some schools have even up to 100 teachers. So if you have only trained 6, then it means quite a number of them have not even had the training. In single stream schools where we have 10 teachers. So if you have trained 6, it means 4 have not. I think that's so the lowest, like a single stream school, may have only had 6 teachers trained, so 4 are left out. In double stream schools that could have about 19 teachers, then it means quite a number have not also trained.
Well, okay, that is well noted, and I think I can also see Professor Soma is in the group, so we are noting this. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I think you had the second point.
2. As I said, CBC is good, but it's quite involving. It actually places the learner on the saddle. The learner is the driver of the learning process. The teacher becomes a facilitator. And they have now included the parents. So the parents are supposed to assist the children when they come home. But the problem is, we see not all parents are literate. So some may not be able to assist much in undertaking some assistant the learners in some tasks. In urban setups, parents are knowledgeable, they are literate, they are techno-savvy. Those ones can help. But when we look at that, parents also in urban setups are quite busy. Some are doing business, others are hustling in town. When you go deep into the rural areas, the parents may have the time with the learners, but the problem is they may not be having the capacity to assist them. That's on one area. 2,
looks like he's having technology. That's the technology we're talking about, right? Ruben, we're really enjoying your ideas. I hope you can get back.
Yeah. And maybe you could also look at the chats. There are some people who have decided to give them chat.
Yeah, we'll go back. We hope you can get back because the chats we're noting that. Let's see. I think did he drop? I think he dropped. Okay. Somebody else. I think he's back. Okay. Ruben, are you back? Okay. Maybe when he comes back, let him fix his technology. See, this is a technology. Okay. Let's see if we can get back. Okay. Go ahead, Sabila. Let's see if we can call the next person and see if hopefully.
Yeah, please. The next person can. Somebody had raised a hand and I don't know, maybe dropped it or something. I don't know. Oh yeah.
Professor Some, you want to say Jambo?
Yeah, and then after that, Festus can say something after Professor Some. I think Festus has raised his hand. But Professor Some, please kindly.
Jambo, everybody.
Jambo. Jambo.
Yeah, Bole, I joined in a little bit late because I was out of the office, but now I'm back. Welcome to this conversation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Prof is also.
Thank you so much, Prof. Yeah.
Thank you.
He's also on the task force and one of our mentors and one of our leaders. So it's great to have our leaders here. So let us continue. Yes, Festus. Festus, you need to mute yourself. Okay.
Okay. I will not basically do that for activities. Moving on. Okay.
Festus, we cannot hear you.
Are you able to hear?
No, can you go to you? We cannot hear you.
Are you able to hear me?
I think it's better. Try it again.
That's better?
Yes, yes.
That's okay.
Okay, it's better now. We can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Sorry for that. Okay, I wanted basically to talk on a few things regarding the CBC education system in Kenya. There are quite a number of challenges myself I've noticed. One is basically on the number of teachers that have undergone the trainings in Kenya at the moment. Because if you look at by the end of March of 2022, this year, we had a number of a shortage of almost 100,000 teachers that are not that are lacking. We are lacking in our schools. So it is upon the Ministry of Education to still factor in on the trainings for the teachers that we need to have in our schools at the moment. Because if you see the ratio of number of students against the teachers that we have who have undergone these trainings, you see like we are still lacking behind. Because the Ministry of Education was preparing like each and every year, they are budgeting to have a bit of maybe like 5,000 teachers to be recruited yearly, of which you see having 5,000 within a span of a number of years, we wouldn't have met the required number of teachers across the entire country. So you'll feel like closing that gap will be a very big challenge for us at the moment. Number two is about the inadequate quality textbooks for this competence-based curriculum education. Because if you see, we are rolling out, closing out on the 844 system, and having the publications of the books with the publications industry, you'll find like we are lacking behind because we don't have that capacity at the moment, like to have every school facilitated with the books that are required. So you find that big challenge in between here, because the teachers, you find that the teachers and the learners both are trying to catch up with the systems because some of them are lagging behind because of the books. So it is a very big challenge, especially to our rural schools, that it needs to be addressed with the Ministry of Education. You know, with the resources, if you look at if you look at maybe on those creative parts between the learners to interact on the actual resources that are desired for the competency, you look at like some of them are lacking on these resources because of maybe at times inadequate staffing here in between the schools, which is not addressed the best way, and the key materials, which is a very difficult key thing to implement at the moment. So we need to look at that so that we catch up together in that pace. I think those are a few. Maybe in due course, I'll add more of what I look at from my end. Thank you.
Okay. Festus, where are you calling from? Where are you joining us from?
Okay, I'm calling from Kericho County myself.
Okay, good. Thank you so
yes,
much.
Yes, thank you.
Is Ruben back? I see Ruben is back. And Ruben, you're using Techno. Is it Techno 12 or Techno 16? If you are back, please go ahead and finish your comments before we go to the next person. Okay, Robani and Sabila, we are here with Professor.
And Festus, you could drop your hand down.
Yes.
I know you. Yeah, Festus, you can drop your hand down. Somebody was speaking. Was that Chepkwony?
Sabila, I was just checking. You can hear me now? I'm really suffering.
Paul. And we have had a number of people joining. I've kept
Sawa, endelea. Sawa, endelea. You're doing very well. You're doing very well.
We are giving our views, and Prof is collecting our views. She's a member of the presidential committee, and they have a very near deadline of 25th to make a presentation. So kindly let's continue to make our presentations. You are free to raise your hand. Yes, I can see.
Sabila.
That is who now.
Sabila, we are two members of the task force here, myself and Professor Somers. So share your thoughts. We will make sure that they reach your view.
Somebody was raised his hand. I don't know who it is. Is that Janet?
Professor, I can add something before Janet.
Yes, go ahead.
So that I close completely. Is it okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. On this, I want to touch on the ICT part. If you look at the CBC system, it came together with the ICT for the learners. So at the moment, lack of information and communications technology skills among the majority of teachers is one of the challenges we are facing in implementing this competency-based curriculum. Most of the teachers, you find they are not able to integrate informations and communications technology in the learning and teaching within the CBC. So when technology is used as a partner, then it assists the learners and the teachers to develop access to new ideas and the tasks. And it's a way of handling the previous known tasks to explore further perspectives of the knowledge. So therefore, if teachers will not do, or teachers don't have these ICT skills, then it is not easy for them to implement the curriculum during this technological advancement era at the moment. So we need to clearly look at this on how best we can have these teachers undergo the training so that they get exactly on how best they can work with have the learners learn on this, and then look at how best they can see the academic and the academic records for the learners in each and every skill of work. So you see, most of the teachers in many schools don't have the ICT skills, which we need to look at this clearly from our end. So I think that's okay. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Janet, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Professor.
for this time for this forum. So I have a few things to air, and I think a lot has been said, so maybe it's just emphasizing some of them. So I'm a lecturer at the university in Kenya, and we've been told that very soon we'll also be trained on how to handle these people when they reach us. So, but also as a parent, I have some comments to make, and especially how the CBC is conducted. The way somebody has said, it brings also on board the parent. Okay, so, and also the teacher is quite involved. The work that the teacher now does with this student is more than what they would do in the normal 844. So the teacher is going to be increased such that efficacy is looked into, such that we don't produce maybe a low grade CBC. Okay, so why am I saying this? Because at one point I met with a teacher and I asked her, she's very young actually, and I asked her to comment about the CBC. Then the teacher said it's too much. Is too much on their side. So maybe that could be also a contributing factor to maybe non-performance, let's say. But maybe that one needs to be, maybe the teachers need to air how they are experiencing it. Also, the CBC, how it's examined. Okay, so previously is like at the beginning, it was meant to be very, very, very practical. But as at now, it will be more of theory, especially this group that will be doing. There's a lot of theory involved, although of course, maybe the examples will be from the practical perspective. So what can we do such that CBC becomes CBC? Such that the student makes a mat and is examined on how the student has made the mat, but not just theoretically mentioning how the threads are interwoven. Okay, so and at the same time, if we're going to do that, we know that with our exams, there is a lot of security that is involved and what have you, because even the teacher, not only the learner is not trusted, but also teachers. We've seen exam cheatings and it all involves all these people. How are we going to make sure that this system is credible, such that the marks given to a student is actually the marks that the student deserves? Okay, so, and my last bit, I feel that this system is not, doesn't balance learners. It will favor the urban child compared to the rural child. Sometimes when we see what the student is told to bring in 2 days or in 1 day or the following day, is something that might not be accessible to the rural child. Such example is this thick thread for weaving. Okay, so the child is given 2 days or 1 day to bring that. Sometimes they are given some of the things that needs nails and wood and what have you, such that a child in the rural area may not be able to access that. How are we going to balance that? This urban child and the rural one learn at the same, they get the same knowledge. Okay, one is not disadvantaged over the other. And of course, maybe someone has already mentioned, it's a very expensive system. For sure, compared to 844, it's quite expensive. Okay, so, and how is that factored in? Or when it comes to this rural area, can maybe the government now provide for these learners? Maybe. Okay, those are my few points. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Janet. That was quite informative. Yes, kindly, I can see, is that Ross Chepkwony? Yes, kindly. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair and the Professor. I just want to second what Janet is saying. I'm speaking as a parent, and the things that we are facing on the ground are not what I think maybe, yeah, that is disparities from the urban child to the rural child. In fact, that was my point actually. When it comes to finding some of the involvement for the parent and the child, that is well accepted, that is good. But when it is on the rural side, it may not favor this child, because when you find it is intense, so it wants a real concentration from the parent, and the parent should also be learned, at least to support this child. You find that at some places, a child is asked to go watch a TV series and then to write a presenter, and many of our local areas where we live, we don't have the TV. So this child will be disadvantaged. Tomorrow, when people will be discussing that you saw this presenter, it was ABCD, and the child will feel like inferior in terms of the rest. So that is what I wanted to air most, and to support what Janet has said. And the expense, the part of the parents that in the rural area, we may not be able to be like the urban area. You are asked to bring in today and then tomorrow, and where we are getting, we are getting the support in terms of the monetary support may not be equal. So if you struggle today to have 200, you find at one time, in a span of a week, a child should have already collected a tune of 1,200 shillings, which is hardly found in the village, because you're running up for the school fees, you're running out or for to put food in the table. So I think those are two critical areas from the parent point of view. Thank you.
Sante sana, that's very loud and clear. Thank you so much. I can see Charles. Is that Charles Kipruto? Charles Ruto, Tibet.
Charles Ruto, that's my name.
Yes.
Good evening, Professor and team.
Good evening. Just tell us also where you're calling from. So we can...
I'm calling from Thika.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, so I really appreciate this forum. It's a good one, and thanks for organizing it. 2 points from my end. The initial one is I really appreciated the CPC at the initial stages, because it was more practical, and even it was giving opportunity to our children to think rather than the choice kind of testing. Unfortunately, towards the exam of this, that for them doing the final exam, I understand they are being taught now how to answer questions on choices. So it seems like you are training pupils to have a practical way of doing things, but in the long run, you are taking them back again to the choices kind of testing. That is one. Number two, from my end is, number one, do we have the capacity for this? Because the big challenge is the capacity, the teachers, the training. It's like a crash program from my end, because the people who thought about this CPC, they should have thought, number one, on building the capacity on our teachers. Our teachers are really pressed. I've never seen this before. My wife is a teacher, and let me tell you, the kind of homework he normally come with it home here. I told him if I could have been having something else he can do, he better quit that teaching. I'm sorry to say that. Thank you so much, and enjoy your evening.
Asante sana. Yeah, has an interesting kind of contribution. Yes, Dr. Linda, is that Linda Allen? Karibu sana. Kindly go ahead and give your views.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. So my contribution.
Linda,
yes?
where are you calling from? Just introduce yourself and tell us where you're joining from, so that we have a context. Yeah, we can put a context there. Yeah, thank you. And Sangila,
okay.
encourage all of them to introduce themselves and tell us where they're calling from.
All right.
Yes, okay.
I am Dr. Linda. I'm a lecturer of biomedical sciences from the Technical University of Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. So I want to contribute to this discussion as a parent who has been as a parent, I've had children undergoing 844, and I also have a set of children going through the CBC program. So my problem with the only part that I can say I find challenging with CBC is on academic resources. So you can imagine each parent purchasing one whole yarn of thread only for each pupil to use a piece of it to make a beaded wristband. So one yarn of thread, can serve up to 20 pupils for that one beaded wristband. So then if you take the price of one yarn and spread it across 20 pupils and include that as part of school fee or part of academic resources for each parent, and then provide the yarn, which is the academic resources in schools, it will lighten the burden on wasteful academic resources. And then we all know that learning in school, although usually is individually centered, it should have a balanced sense of a collective responsibility. So therefore, that is where I find there's a challenge. The other challenge I wanted to mention is on the carrying out of practical sessions at home. I remember when one of my sons was given a practical session that looks like a biology session to be conducted at home. And I just wondered, because I understood what I was doing because of my biomedical background, but I just wondered what goes on in homes where parents did not go to school, or because after conducting that practical, they went back to school and no teacher discussed that. It's as if after you conduct it with your parents at home, there's no need of following it up at school. So there's no uniformity on the delivery of CBC. So those are actually my concerns that I wanted to mention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, from Technical University. And I can see Juliet Moso. Kindly introduce yourself, tell us where you are calling from, and then give your views. Karibu.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Juliet Moso from Dedan Kimathi University. I'm calling from Nairobi. And I want to give my views on CBC. CBC as on itself as a curriculum is a very good curriculum. The only challenge which I'm seeing and which is making it a bit difficult for us is the implementation plan. Probably when the implementation was being done, it was a bit rushed. So some of the things were not thought about. For example, I can cite the part for infrastructure. We now have a grade 6 that is supposed to transition to high school. But when we go to those high schools, we don't have the classrooms ready for them. We don't have the dormitories ready for them. And then, but they have their classes which are in primary school. So maybe the proposals we can make is that instead of transitioning these children to high school, the government can think of setting up the laboratories in the primary school so that they can start there, because with the shortage of infrastructure, it is practically impossible to transition these children to high school. And also there's at least the private schools have been trying, and they have set up there's some classrooms for them, and some are able to get the laboratories. But then the fear is, will the public primary schools actually be able to set up those laboratories in time? Because these kids need these things in January. So that is another challenge that came as the implementation. Probably when we started, it looked that it was far, but it's now something that has to be dealt with. Then also the other issue that I've been seeing with it is that the assessments that have been tailored to be done in CBC, there are so many of them, but I don't think there's an option whereby teachers are allowed to pick the assessment that they can be able to achieve based on the environment. So since we have quite a number of them, I think they can have an option so that instead of saying that all students should go and clean a municipal market, some students don't have that municipal market to go and clean. So they can be assessments, but then teachers are allowed to pick the assessment, and then the assessments need to be communicated to the parents in time, because most of the time you're given like a day or two and told that your kid needs to come with this, and sometimes the finances are missing, so it becomes a challenge. So if the assessments could be well thought of in time, and they could be also set according to the environments or according to the resources that are available within those environments, it can really help. so that it makes the work of the teachers easier and also the work of the parents easier. The other challenge also comes with the training. I believe the training that the teachers have got, and the first person already talked about it, it was a bit insufficient because I talked to one of the teachers who went for the training, and one of the comment that they gave me is that when they were being trained, they were not really given practical training on how they are actually supposed to handle this student in class. So they were trained very fast on the curriculum, but not on the implementation, the way they usually done when they go for the teaching practice. So I believe there's a challenge there. There's need for more training on the teachers so that they can be able to handle the students, because some of the challenges that we have, especially with the too much homework that the parents are doing, is as a problem with the training that the teachers got. So some teachers are not able to think outside the box and make the assessments easier for the student to do so that they can do it on their own. So they pass the baton to the parent, and the parent now is the one doing homework and not the student. So that is a challenge which I believe is coming out of the training. And maybe my last comment is on the university. We've talked about CBC until high school, and there's been no serious talk really on the university section because this is a new curriculum. The current university curriculums are based on 844, and they cannot actually handle CBC students. And they're going to be hitting university very soon, and curriculums usually take time to develop. So maybe we need guidance on when are they going to start looking at the universities? When are these curriculums going to start being talked about? Because if we don't talk about it early enough, then we're going to have the challenge that we currently have on transitioning the grade 6 to high school. Thank you.
Asante sana. Yeah, it was quite helpful, Dr. Juliet Moso, for your comments. Yeah, our name is still open. People can raise their hands. I don't see a hand raised right now, but Prof, you could say something as maybe look at the comments that have been given as you move us forward, and also as other people maybe bring themselves forward to make comments. Prof, before Gilbert Bor.
No, I'd rather have Gilbert speak. Remember, we're just here to listen. So
It's okay. Yeah, that's okay
you.
then. Gilbert.
Yes, yeah. So
Gilbert,
Rubani and you, I'd like Rubani on your show. Yeah.
Introduce yourself and tell us where you're calling from. I know when you talk Kapsaret. Karibu sana, Dr. Bor.
Asante sana. First of all, I've just raised my hand so that I can apologize for coming in late. I had challenges with the network in Kapsaret, where, as you have rightly put, that's where I am. And I want to greet all of you, beginning with our guest, Professor Prof Rotich.
There's also Professor Some, so greet Professor Some too.
Professor Some, I have not seen.
No, he's here listening.
Professor Some,
we're on the task force together, so we're listening.
He's also, yeah.
Good evening in Jita Venda, equipment like me. I've seen the program that Rubani had developed, and I was supposed to make remarks, but I would like to leave that to later. I just want to say how grateful I am for this kind of forum. As Chair Sabila Ngania said, I live in Kapsaret near the Eldoret International Airport. I teach at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. I teach in the School of Business. So I am not very much versed with the CBC because it's the primary school level. However, in 1988, I helped to found a school in my village. It's called St. George's Primary School, one of the top performing schools. So I have experience of starting a public school from scratch, from nursery school. And at that time, I was used to the Montessori system of nursery school, so which was quite practical. so when the CBC came up, I kind of supported it because it is making the kids to be practical. However, as many people have expressed here, CBC is quite involving and involves the parents a lot. Even as grandparents, we have to look at our grandchildren and bring and try to support them in their assignments or homework that they have. To the extent that you wonder whether it is the child who is undergoing education or it is the parent or the grandparent, because they have to work with the child to do the homework at home. And therefore, to the extent that it is that involving in terms of time and resources and involving a lot of work from the parents, a lot of resources from the parents, a lot of resources in the schools. We watched Professor Magoha opening classrooms here and there and wondering whether the constructions of these classrooms was not lopsided. How were these schools selected? I never saw any work in the school where I've talked about at St. George's. There was nobody from government, from the Ministry of Education came to say, we want to assist the school, and we have built a secondary school also, to have classrooms for the transitioning of the junior secondary students. To the extent that, again, the children are quite young, they are below 12 years, they cannot really go to a secondary school. That would be harming those children. And therefore, I do not really support CPC. If it goes through, I would suggest that the children who are going to junior secondary school be based in the primary schools, because we are leaving a lot of room in terms of infrastructure in the primary schools and asking the secondary schools to admit these young children. It is a waste of resources for the country. And as Dr. Moso has said, very soon, these children will be entering university. The universities have not been prepared to get ready to receive these children. And therefore, where are they going to go after they finish high school, they complete high school? Moreover, and this is something that probably Professor Rotich will tell us.
Your voice has gone a bit low.
Oh. Where are these, how are our children going to fit into the global education system when we have been used to the fact that after Form 4, they have the KCSE exams, they have the result slip to use to find a placement in global universities. How are they going to fit into that system once they are, going through the CBC, where there are no exams? What kind of documents are they going to use to enter international universities? Chair, I beg to rest my case there so that we can hear more. We are anxious to hear from Professor Rotich, and I would like to hear from Professor Some too. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Dr. Bor, for your contribution and of course the role that you are playing in your community to uplift educational standards. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming to this forum. Any other person, please
Just a comment to Dr. Boer. Dr. Boer, we're also collecting views. We're not just, this task force is not just CBC. We're looking at TVET and university education funding. So any issues that are related. So feel free to share your views on
Thank you.
where you are based right now, the university system. On your question on transcript and all that kind of stuff, all I can say, remember again, is we are listening. The task force will share a report that will be shared with everybody, so I can't really comment. We're just on a listening mode. But what I can tell you is, in terms of internationalizing the curriculum, we've raised that. Actually, that was an issue that was raised by diaspora, is we would like to see the curriculum to be internationalized so that our students can transition seamlessly to global education systems, or to even get jobs. And I'll give you a quick example. You know, the nursing and the physical therapy, they have done an amazing job, because students who are in nursing, students who are graduating from nursing, they can actually transition. All they need to do is to sit for the NCLEX exam. And then once they pass that NCLEX, then they can transition into the US system, into the Philippines. That's why you see a lot of nurses being absorbed in the United States, in London, and those other places, because that nursing program, they have really worked very closely to align their curriculums to the standards of the international community. And physical therapy has done the same thing. Now, with our students, what we normally do ask, and I'm going to give you based on the US experiences, when a student comes in, we look at the transcript all the way from 9th grade, from standard, in this case, it's high school. So we want to see your 4-year, our high school is 9, 10, 11, and 12. So when you come to school, we want to see your transcript, all the subjects that you took with all the grades. Is it an A, B, C, or D? So that is something that is required, as well as we don't really pay so much attention to the final, but we do. So that could be an issue that could present itself. We've also seen the same thing coming through with professors who are graduating from Kenyan education systems that do not take coursework. So for example, I don't know, Professor Rob, or the professors who spoke, or the doctors who spoke, I don't know whether your PhD included coursework. In the United States, we have to take coursework of up to 60 credit hours. So you're looking at about 30 courses before you even do your dissertation. So our program takes about 6 years. You do coursework for 3 years, and then you do your research for 3 years. So even now I'm hiring, and by the way, let me just do, as Bay was announcing, we are hiring. I'm at Indiana Bloomington, and I'm hiring, we're recruiting. But we have so much limitations with hiring from Kenya, because most of those who have their PhDs do not have coursework. They only have their research. So that's a very limiting factor. So those are things that we need to consider moving forward. And again, we as a diaspora have shared that we have expressed our concern to say that they need to align their curriculums to the international program so that they can transition. So I'll be quiet and let you finish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Yeah, we're listening. So people kindly give your comments, your views, and like Prof has explained, widen the scope. You know, of course, the focus was primarily CBC, but the mandate that the team has goes beyond that. So feel free to give comments covering the other areas of the education fraternity. Janet, I think you are back. Kindly make your comments.
Okay, thank you so much for the second chance. I've had Professor, okay, I didn't introduce myself in the beginning. I'm a lecturer at Technical University of Kenya. And yeah, I'm so glad that the mandate of this group goes beyond just CBC. Okay, so just to mention something, I know, of course, maybe majority of you knows that the university is going through a financial crisis. We've seen Maseno University go on no pay for some time, or is it half pay, Ijat on the same, these big universities. And I don't know where the rain started beating us, because when the private universities were given students by the government, okay, the public universities now, we are struggling to have students. And from there, the capitation, of course, is low and everything. In university, for sure, funding in Kenya universities is now a problem. And I think the cries have been, people have aired their views here and there. And for sure, I'm not sure about the future of the Kenyan universities. So just to mention that, okay, so far, whatever it's being proposed is that we go to production, to business, to like produce items as a university, okay? So we know that in other universities, I was in China, what they do is that they collaborate with the industries such that the university just does the research part and the industry takes it from there. Like if it's pharmaceutical, you just do the practical aspect and the industry and the, of course, the whole research, and the industry goes to produce the product, you partner. But in Kenya, it's not the case. It's quite independent. So I just wanted to air that. It's not that I have a solution, but I think it's a case that is well known. If you talk to anyone in the university, there's no longer any job security or anything, because of course we have 1,001 problems, especially in public. The private, I'm not sure, I cannot talk on their behalf. And especially the big universities, for sure, there are challenges.
Thank you so much, Janet. Yeah, that is also eye-opening. And of course, sharing from the part of being part of that fraternity. I think that enriches this discussion and this presentation. Yes, any other person, kindly, you are free to raise your hand and then make your views. And yeah, and we are happy with the turn up. And I think I see people still joining. I can see Weldon has just joined us. And yeah, that is quite encouraging. Please, if you have any views to the Presidential Committee on Chepkwony, karibu Rubani, unataka kuleta comments.
Good job, Sabina. I think you're doing very well. My main concern is about what I've heard. It is very sad. I'm in an industry where you do theory and then you do the practicals, the aviation industry. I'm very saddened to hear that when CBC started, it was okay. But unfortunately now, Mamba funding might become a challenge because you might not be able to invest a lot of money in the practical side. And that is, I thought CBC was more about searching for talent in an individual, so that if you're good in a particular area, you can get the support. I remember the Alders, when we went through the older system, we had the laboratories, which were well-funded, and we had most of the things in the laboratories. So if CBC, even 844, if I remember when it started 844, it was kind of going to be practically based kind of system. But now CBC, we start the same way. And I really love what the members are saying and what they are contributing. It is touching on us. And I wanted to ask Sabila, you being an individual who is really passionate about the languages, how are the languages in the CBC? Are we still going, are we introducing the vernacular languages up to grade? Is it grade 3? This is your area of specialty. But my main concern is on the theory part, on the practical part. Can we afford to fund the whole of this system? Or is it going to be only a few privileged schools where maybe the parents even can chip in, who can afford this kind of system, and somebody at the village level, in the countryside, might have a challenge? Thank you very much, Sabina.
Rubani, you did not introduce yourself. Not everybody knows who you are and where you are.
Rubani, yes. Kindly let us know.
Oh, my forgiveness. Sorry, I had introduced myself earlier. My name is Joel Chepkwony. I'm in the aviation industry. I'm currently based in Wau, in South Sudan. I'm a pilot by profession, and we are working for the UN, United Nations. The company that I'm working for is contracted to the UN. So we ferry the UN personnel from one area to another. So that's what you are doing in the South Sudan. And we have a lot of UN presence from various countries from the whole world. And that is why CBC is giving me an interest, because how come countries like Uganda, countries like Tanzania, they have never changed from the O and A level kind of approach. And also, we have a lot of parents still taking, even among us here, a lot of people don't trust the Kenyan-based program. They take their children for the A-level kind of system. So, and these people, they are more advantaged when they come back as compared to the guys going through maybe 844 or CBC. So that is my name, Joel Chepkwony. Thank you very much, Sabila. And thank you, Professor Prof Rotich and Professor Some, for really being the people behind all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting us, Dr. Rubani. We appreciate your invitation to this group.
Asante sana Rubani. See, I was trying to guard myself from giving my views as I moderate, but you have thrown a challenge to me. Allow me to quickly say something about indigenous languages, because that is something that is within the CBC. But the challenge has been, previously, of course, it has been that children are taught in the language of the catchment area in the lower grades and ECD. But of course, with the CBC, there has been a desire, I should call it that, or a plan by the ministry to kind of take the study of indigenous languages to higher levels, or of course, even up to higher levels of studies. We have a situation where we have universities that have Institute of African Languages, where none of the African languages is taught or something like that. So this is a very good plan and desire to develop our languages and to have people study languages up to higher levels. But of course, as it is, we have a challenge of the development of the materials. We have a challenge of the training of teachers. Of course, we have said training generally, but of course, when it comes to indigenous languages, there are a number of other things in terms of the orthography, the writing system, and development of materials, and even pedagogy, teaching mother tongue. Of course, it's a language like any other, but it is unique in its own way. And so that is a challenge that is there. Currently, of course, we are having kids going to grade 7, and they are expected as part of the electives to pursue an indigenous language. But as we are speaking, this is November, but there is no material for indigenous language for grade 7 that has been approved in any of the languages. So that is something that will not be implemented or will not see the light of day because of lack of preparedness in terms of developing the materials, in terms of training teachers and availing that in school. So it is just there as something that is promised but cannot. And sadly, this may also be affecting many other areas where up to now materials may not have been developed and approved in readiness for grade 7. Thank you.
Yes, and VP, you can give your comments. It's just me and Professor Sommer who can really steer the views, but you can give your comments anytime.
Yes, please. Any other person? The floor is still open for people to give comments, and they cover any area that the mandate of the committee has. It's wider than CBC. Please feel free to raise your hand virtually, and then we'll give you an opportunity. Tell us where you are and yeah, make your comments. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Yeah, you can even sometimes do that when you are technologically challenged, you are not able to raise your hand virtually, we give you an opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this is Maritima. And I'm calling from
Karibu Maritim and Lynette B.
Okay. I'm calling from Eldoret and a lecturer from Moi University teaching physics. My concern is on the implementation side, because the initial CPC was a well developed curriculum. It was an hybrid of 844 system before it was mutilated. The problem with this CPC is on the implementation side. We will have students going to Form 1 or what we call as junior secondary, which I believe it should remain at a primary level. Thirdly, is on the initial CPC actually was proposing the creation of day secondary schools in each primary school, which is not the case on what we are discussing. And I'm also proposing that in each of these primary school, which the government should be able to employ SNE teachers to gather for special students. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments, lecturer of physics. Karibu sana. Lynette, you have dropped your hand. I don't know whether that means that you are not, yeah, but you could, if you are still there and you want to give your comments, feel free, Lynette.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear
Okay,
you loud and clear. Go ahead,
all right.
introduce yourself, tell us where you're calling from and give your views.
So my name is Lynette Kosgei. I'm in Nairobi. I also work in an aviation industry. Chepkwony, hi, we are former colleagues. So yeah, so my point for today is that the things that I wanted to raise, especially those people who schooled long time ago in our local primary schools, that were the educational system was working at that time. You know, the local schools were as competitive as any other school, so you could just go to any primary school. So what were we doing right then that we are not doing it now? Because now you can't just take to any nearby primary school, you have to actually search for a school. Even now for the CBC, we'll have to actually, as parents, and so we'll have also to look for schools. We look for schools, you look for teachers, you get extracurricular activities. So what are we doing wrong now? And then this is actually also going to universities, according to our discussions today, because I'm also a committee member of a mentorship program for computer science students in university. The reason why this group was formed is because we're trying to prepare university students to be ready for the market, because honestly, university students in Kenya are not ready for the market unless you are from universities like USIU and the likes, which do other activities apart from just learning. So we need to ask ourselves, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And these things that other people are doing to bridge the gap, can we just fix it first before we do like a radical shift? So those are my comments. Thank you.
Asante sana, Lynette, yeah, for your comments. Yes. Please, members, we are free to continue giving our views. Yes, somebody's, yeah, I think somebody has unmuted. And that is Chepkwony. Yes.
Sabila.
Yes, Chepkwony.
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge Lynette, and I'm proud of her. I really acknowledge Lynette to hear her voice. Thank you, Lynette. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
I can make a comment too.
Oh, Karibu. Introduce yourself and yeah.
Yeah, my name is Vincent. Last name is Sumbae. I am based in the US.
But from Kapsaret somewhere.
But I'm from Kapsaret. That is where I was born and raised.
Yes.
I think I see some people like Mr. Bor here who are, my parents back home. So I guess for me, I'm not an educator. So I went through the system, right? I went to Kenya. I did my elementary, high school, and then I went to college there before I came to the US. One of the things that I have done currently, I work for Amazon. I'm one of their regional directors. So I've been in a position where I'm able to hire and develop talents. So one of the things that I would love to see happening, especially in our education system and our programs, is making sure that as we think of setting up their programs, we need to also look at the accreditation of these programs to see, as we accredit the programs that we are being offered, not only are they going to be accredited in Kenya, that they also get international accreditation, so that as people transition out, because I remember I did aviation when I was in Kenya. For me to come here and try to pursue aviation, I had to hire an external third-party company to just review my qualification to see if they match the criteria of what is required. Right? So that was hard for me, but eventually I was able to get some credits, but some of them I lost. So that was one of the things really that I would love to see, because, and then also looking at the education system in Kenya, I did the 844 system, which was, we were a master, we are a jack of all trades, but we are a master of none. So we did it just to pass. I remember when we were almost at the 8-4, doing our Form 4 level, all we did is just revise, test and test and test, so you could get an A just because the exact question came that you already studied and you passed. So we became where we were really just checking the box to pass, right? Instead of really a system where, we thought, where it was invested for us to be successful as we left, right? So as we came here, I brought my daughter here. I brought her from Kenya, and she was probably like a C student when she left Kenya. She's currently an A student here and currently in college, because when she came here, they did a cumulative type of education, and and that has really helped her, because now you only get time to really focus on one thing and pass and do great, right? Kenya, you can imagine they give you this one test and that determines your life. I have seen kids that I knew growing up when I was young, is they were very smart, but they only failed one exam, the 844, and that goes their career, right? So we have to find a system that is not punitive to everybody, so that as they study and pass, those things that the effort that they've put in, because not we've had people that, either lose the last one. How does your life get determined by just one test that you do at the final of the year to determine how your life is going to be? So I would love to see a system that really look at the cumulative effort of what people have done, right, throughout their, either it's college, either it's high school, so that you don't just get punished by one exam, right? So I think that is one of the things that really as we look into, these programs and looking at things, is to really look at those and say, how can we set those to be successful? And then lastly is really looking at the industry and seeing what is out there in terms of what do the employers need, because an example is we had COVID happening the other day, right? But we couldn't have our doctors who have gone to all these schools come up with a solution, a medication. We have to depend on Americans or any other people in any other world to come up with a solution. Some of the people that are coming to come up with those solutions are people that are from Africa. They leave Africa to come here and come up with these ideas. Why would we use that to come up with those ideas back at home, right? So it's really making sure that we as people are training, that we are really focusing on current industry and not looking backwards in terms of looking at really what are we currently doing, right? Growing up, like I look at the kids now, you go to everywhere, a small child now knows how to use smartphone, right? Are we really training our kids currently to use, the other day I was looking at my kids, is as early as they are starting to use calculators to do exams, and they are still in elementary school. You're like, why are you doing calculator? We used to do logarithm tables and all that stuff. But do those things really matter, that I know how to use a logarithm table? No, it's what is currently in the industry, what is currently going on. So we really need to start focusing on really what is going on around the world. And we need to go away from these things that we say, I can have all the knowledge, but it's not beneficial. We have to have an education system that is smart and effective and is current to what we have currently. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sumbaye. Yeah, that is from an experienced kind of thing, and you gave us a very early warning that I'm not speaking as an academician, but from your experience, and I think that has really spoken into this kind of a discussion from an experience. Yeah, it's good to hear that from you. Thank you so much. I taught your sister Gertrude. That is good. Yes. Any other person, please?
I just want to thank Mr. Vincent Sumbaye. Vincent Sumbaye is the vice president of the Kotapka organization. This is an organization that brings together.
Yeah.
So that was, and he actually is an amazing. He does a lot of work. He's one of the top leaders in Amazon. So if you buy anything on Amazon, if he has a lot of influence there, he can hire and fire. And so thank you, Vincent, for your time to join us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof, for acknowledging Vincent. There's somebody Techno now. How do I know who you are? But Techno has raised his or her hand. Tafadhali, just if you are a Techno and you have raised your hand, please introduce yourself.
Yes, Ngania, that is me. That is Ruben. I'm back. I had some technological challenges. Hello. Am I audible?
Karibu, you are audible. You are audible, Ruben.
Oh, yes, yes.
Welcome
So
back.
let me just revisit what I was saying. I've been out for quite a while. I don't know what would have transpired, but I hope I'll still be in order to revisit what I was talking about. That I say that it would be good if the junior secondary is domiciled in primary and possibly remain as a primary component or area, and maybe can even be called senior primary. That's grade 7 and 8, and then they transit to secondary. Still plus 4 years in secondary, that makes the 6 years. So the structure will have just changed. Then when they come to secondary, I remember we used to have people like sitting at Form 2 earlier on in our early education system. So maybe because of the KJC, Kenya, the people would sit for Kenya Junior Certificate of Education, and that was another exit point. Being a teacher at the secondary school, many times we find students getting some burnout by Form 2. Some of them are talent oriented, some of them are hands-on oriented. So they would rather be allowed to exit at Form 2, having sat for a certain exam, and then from there they can join the TVETs now, maybe for another 2 years. That will take them to around 18 years. So we'll have people coming out of these institutions at the right time, equipped with skills. And now, when we are talking about the blue economy, we need people who work in that sector. So we'll have quite a number of these fellows exiting from TVETs, and we could also baptize TVETs to also cover talent centers. We could as well call them TVETs and talent centers, so that those who are talented and may not really be endowed in the mainstream education, they can now pursue talents as they also do these technical courses. We can have now these big talent centers. The government can actually be able to fund them. They are fewer than as compared to secondary schools. Funding all secondary schools to equip them with all what they need, the teaching and learning resources, is going to be a huge task for the government. So I would rather think that TVET centers are better placed, being few, and the government can actually heap resources in those institutions. So that is my thinking. And then those who can now continue with education, they can get to grade 12. Then from there, they can now exit to university. Some will still go back to TVETs. That will still be okay. So that's the input I wanted to make there, which I think I've combined up to all the way to TVET centers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruben, and thank you for your determination. You've come back. There was a time we had given you an opportunity to complete, but I think technology had thrown you out. And I can see Rose. Is that our Rose of Renaissance?
Yeah, yes, yes, Abela.
Rose.
Nice to meet you this evening.
Karibu sana.
And thank you very much to my core leaders in the leadership of Kenya Renaissance. And thank you very much, Professor Cherono. This is also my mother's name, who is sitting right in front of me. She's a retired teacher. And also with my auntie, who is also a retired teacher. My contribution will not be long, but very similar to what Vincent mentioned, what our experience have been like in the education system, and where should we really be going. I personally went through the 7-4-2 system and then 3-4 university. And I found it to be very, I think it allowed me to grow up. I think I need to say that. Grow up in the sense, by the time I was leaving my standard 7 and going to my Form 1, I was in the age of 13 to 14 years. So you have grown up a bit. And like now, what I'm seeing is that they want the children to transit a bit earlier. I'm sensing it will be challenging for the children who have not quite matured or reached that level of maturity to go into a senior setting. And I'm also saying this because I also, I'm a supervisor in a group of Bible Study International. So we also have groupings of children in that age, and we have become very sensitive to how we handle the different age groups. So that is one. Then the other one is, I've also been in the field of HR. So I've done quite a lot of recruitment, and you name it, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is HR, whether it is sales, I've been through all that. And I realized that the education system doesn't allow for people who are challenged. And when I'm saying they're challenged probably in terms of expression, communication, and things like that. But when it comes to competency, they're very competent in what they're doing. And I remember on a few occasions, I've actually had to sit down after somebody has gone through the interview. I sat down with a person and I've realized this person has got a communication. But when it comes to the practicals, they will do it very well. But because the people interviewing them have not realized, or it's not in their interest, because if you're doing things, you want people who are chap and move along. So you will not give them the opportunity to actually, you don't have the time to allow them to express themselves. So there's a need to be able to identify who are these children who are challenged in the school system and prepare them in a different way. Because if that particular candidate had been given probably a practical exam, he would have probably done very well. And so in vice versa, there are those who are able to communicate very well, but when it comes to the practical, they're not able. So you need to be able to get careers for those who are good communicators to be able to move into that, and those who are good technically to move into that. So the school system needs to bring that on quite earlier on and not later in life. And that is probably the reason why you're finding kids are very frustrated with the school system, because nobody is taking the time to really understand what type of child do I have. Then the other thing is that I find, okay, maybe you'll excuse me for this comment, but the teachers that we have, they're going in the teaching profession because there's no other profession left for them. So they become teachers not because of a passion. And I think I grew up in a time when teachers had a passion for what they were doing. And so it didn't matter what type of student we were, but they were there for you. But now the teachers are there because they need a job and they need a salary. So I'm not sure what is the output. And it doesn't matter at all levels, whether it is the nursery school, what do you call them? The nursery school, those pre-primary. If the teacher is just there because sina kazi ingine, then even the child, there's a sense of that child not getting a proper foundation. And that is the way that child will go up in the system. And they will never, not that they will never, but the foundations are very important. And we might not be having children enjoying going to school for the simple reason the teacher doesn't also enjoy what they're doing. And it is very basic. The other comment I would like to make is maybe not so much in the CBC, but it has got to do with what are we getting out of universities? And I think it has been mentioned again on the platform that I find our universities have become very generic. They're all doing the same courses. You find like every university in Kenya is doing law, every course university is doing BCom. And I'm like, really? There must be things that, and I think it has been mentioned that there are subjects that are coming up today that are so current and are the subjects for the future, the courses for the future, but we're not there. We're still so backward in some of these things, unfortunately. And and that is why I think the system is also frustrating to the children. We are not advancing at the pace that the world is advancing in. I remember taking some children who were doing their Form 4, and this is quite a few years ago. And I remember telling them, and that time the Vision 2030 was a very hot topic. And they were busy asking what careers should we go into and things like that. And as a result of that, we discussed, and I mentioned that if you, for example, if you wanted to achieve Vision 2030, We should have done an analysis of what skills were required to achieve Vision 2030. And then from there, work back into our universities and say, supply us with so many engineers in this area, and not just engineers. If it is what, they're very different types. If there was the electrical, if it is the, all these sorts of engineering that we're getting today, so that we don't have to be hiring expertise to come into our nation when we could have been doing this through our school system. I could go on, but let me just stop there so that somebody else could have an opportunity. But I hope I'm expressing myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rose, for that passionate presentation of your views. Yeah, karibu sana.
Sabila.
Yes, Captain. Yes.
Yeah. Sabila.
Yes.
Sabila. We have only 13 minutes to go. We were sticklers for time. We said it was going to be 2 hours. Unless we do it again next week, I think it is good to keep time. From the first impression matters. So we have to be sticklers for time. I don't know what you think. We have only
that is okay.
13 minutes.
I'll give 2 people. That is Captain and Professor Ongeti, Professor Visiki. The 2 of them, once we reach the time, then that will be it. If somebody else comes up, then we look at the time. If we still have time, that will be okay. But the 2 presenters, the 2 people who have raised their hands, Captain Boas, karibu sana.
Sabila.
Yes, please.
I see somebody who is an expertise in TVET. Emily Mutai, if she can say something, that would be great to hear from the TVET perspective, because we don't get so much from them. All right, then I'll be fine. That's good.
So we can have the 3. We can have Captain Boas, and then Professor Ongeti.
Thank you so much, Sabila.
My hand has been up for long.
Then the person.
I'll be very brief, Sabila. My name is Boas. I'm in Nairobi. I'm a journalist by profession, yes. And I'll be very, very brief so that I allow somebody else to say something. Thanks and congratulations, Professor, for being a member of the Working Party on Education Reforms. My number 1, Professor, is the issue of cheating in examinations. When this system came, you were saying we want to do away with cheating and many other things, but those people we've interviewed in the media, they are saying this is even encouraging cheating more, because we are saying teachers to help the student, the parents to help, and people are saying it's encouraging cheating a lot. Number 2 is the grade 6 examinations. Professor, some people are saying this grade 6 exam is taking us back to where we were. Is it making a difference? Are we becoming better? And then finally, they are saying teachers are not prepared on this, that our teachers are not trained. So we are having teachers who don't even understand, as the previous speaker has said, that they are not prepared for the system themselves. And then finally, 844 is a system and CBC is a curriculum. Is it possible for us to implement, or was it possible for the government to implement CBC inside 844 without necessarily taking Kenyan parent through all these issues? Thank you so much, Sabila. Asante.
Asante sana boss. Yes, zako umeziorodhesha vizuri kabisa na kupanga na kuziwasilisha. Thank you so much. It's because maybe of your profession. You've said you are a journalist. Asante sana. Professor Ongeti, karibu. Wakati ni wako. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sabila. Thank you. Sorry, I came in late. I was invited by somebody. I saw the message late. Greetings, Professor Gerono. So briefly, to pick up from what where Captain has left, I think we've tended to confuse a structure with a curriculum. We've confused the structure and the curriculum. Just recently, there was a Citizen TV, there was a workshop in KCA University, and a Citizen TV journalist asked the panelists, if CBC is a curriculum, what is 844? And nobody could say 844 was the prevocational curriculum. When the 844 began, it was a provocational curriculum. And we were being told the same things we're being told now. Nobody will fail 844, nobody will pass, there will be no exams. Now we go to exams and people say 844 is bad, it's exam oriented. Prof, I think our problem has been to confuse a structure and a curriculum. So I want to say this, we can, and our problem has also been to crucify the school. You've had speakers saying teachers and so on, to crucify the school for failure of society. So for the longest time, the Kenya National Exam Council has tested people on factual knowledge. It is the Exam Council which tests learners. So if you test learners to repeat, they will repeat those things. At the highest level, NEC, the Kenya National Exam Council, examines students on reasoning. But the reasoning they go to is just application, even in mathematics. Now, we are proposing this. Can we adopt deeper levels of knowledge so that we are talking about 4 types of knowledge? What we have always left out is procedural knowledge and the soft skills that everybody is now talking about. We can incorporate those 4 types of knowledge within 844, because the challenge of these structures of 6-3-3-3 is to introduce the bottleneck that we had rejected. I had a colleague here saying that she went through the 7 what and so on. We rejected that because of bottlenecks. Too many exams. Now we are beginning to introduce those exams in this thing again. 844, believe me or not, is democratic. By 844, I mean the structure. So if you're going to do 8 years primary, 4 years in secondary, then you go to university, you have a higher chance of success in life than if you were to do 6 years primary, 3 years lower, 3 years upper, and so on. Finally, this new structure introduces early specialization. And Prof, that's one of the things we had rejected with the 72246 or whatever. Early specialization is not good for any learner. The advantage of leaving Form 4 under 844 and going to university, you can go to university thinking you can be a doctor. When you get there, you don't understand what cadavers look like, you can run to do law. But if you push a child to specialize at the age of 13, they have specialized. When they go up there and discover that they cannot do it, they are lost. So I've said many things, but I really wish we could find a way of putting the curriculum, because 844 was a curriculum similar to CBC. The founder of the person who pushed for 844 was also the founder of Moi University, where I teach. And at Moi University, our curriculum is basically practice-oriented. Nobody has complained about our doctors, our engineers, our teachers, and so on. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. And thank you, whoever invited me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Chaim Baugeti. Yeah, I'm also, I studied at Moi University. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I think this has been a very good and enriching forum. I want to hand it back to Prof, the 2 professors, for their closing remarks. Like my colleague Chepkwony has said, we are sticklers of time. I think this is a very good beginning. We are looking at maybe having another forum, because we have very good presentations. People who are very resourceful. And you can be sure some of you may still pursue you and say, can we have you, and that kind of thing. Like Professor Ongeti, our friend in the US, and a number of people who have really made very good presentations. Thank you so much. Back to you, Professor Cherono and Professor Some, for closing remarks, because we have only a few minutes to 9. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to open the floor for my colleague and my mentor, Professor Some, to just give an overview of the 4 levels of the technical education. Just talk about that, because that is actually, I think he's chairing that committee, and then give his remarks, and I will just...
Thank you very much, Professor Rotich. I just wanted to say, in this presidential working party, we are talking about CBC quite a lot, but CBC does happen in Tibet, and we have 4 levels of Tibet, which I just wanted to mention very quickly. Starting from the bottom, we have a vocational training center one in every ward. And we have 1,400 wards in Kenya. And the government, as we talk, has actually put up more than 1,200 of them. And the next level is a technical and vocational college. And there should be one in every sub-county. As you know, we have 290 sub-counties. And as of today, the government has put up over 136 of these technical and vocational colleges. The third level is polytechnic. The intention as per the TVET Act is to have one polytechnic in every county, and we have 47 counties. I think we have less than 15 polytechnics as we talk. So there's a bit of work to do there. And the last level is a technical university. The intention as per law is to have 8 technical universities. They're called regional. 8 is significant because those were the number of provinces that we used to have before the new constitution. So at least one in the former provinces. I just wanted to say this because this is where competence-based training is actually centered in. And if we can train everybody in the basic CBC to the age of 17, those who are not able to transit to universities will transit to TVET. And there is plenty of TVETs to take virtually all the students. Let me rest my case.
Thank you so much, Prof, for clarifying that. Like I said, I was telling this group is a thank you for inviting us, Rubani and your vice chair. Thank you for even thinking about this. We look forward to more opportunities. We really appreciate your input. And like I said, we're just here to report the views and you'll hear the reports later. So thank you again. Feel free, any opportunity that you have. I think Rubani and myself will be on CASA-FM tonight during our regular program on Chepkwony from CASA from DC. We will do a 2-hour session again because of the interest, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Kenyan time. So tune in, send us your feedback. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful weekend, and we're here to serve you. We are servant leaders. So mubarikiwe, asanteni sana.
Thank you, one and all.
Sabila.
Yes, Rubani.
If you can hear me, I just wanted to thank most profusely Professor Rotich and Professor Some. I've learned a lot today, personally, especially about the TVET. I love the TVET so much, and I think that is one thing which is really going to be very important for our country, Kenya. I don't know whether my network is okay now, but I just wanted to thank you also, Sabila, for your moderation and professionalism. I know you are a big asset to not only to the community, but also to our country, Kenya. Maybe for the sake of the members, KRenaissance is just focused on the history, the languages, we're looking at the culture, and we're looking at the economic part of empowerment, and also the religion. We focus specifically on the community of Kalenjin, so that as we grow to other parts of Kenya. I just wanted to say that in brief. So one of our missions is to provide a platform where we invite professionals, the way we have invited Professor Rotich and also Some, and other professors and highly educated Kenyans. And well, I'm really proud of the gentleman, Vincent Sumbaye, who was in Amazon. This is a kind of networking also. We want to encourage networking. I know we have a lot of people in Australia. We have other people in US. You have a lot of people in UK. And if you don't mind, we'll be doing this once in a month so that we can be providing a platform where we can exchange ideas. I'm in aviation industry. I would like somebody to ask me, how can I become an aviation professional? And then I'll give you the guidance. So the most important thing is to thank you, Sabila. Thank my team. We have Rose Chesire, who is our treasurer. We have our vice chairman, Sabila Ngania. We also have Dr. Gilbert Bor, who is the team leader for the culture team. Also, Sabila also is the team leader for the language team. And then we have Godfrey Sang. I don't know whether he is with us. He's also heading the history part. And we have Reverend Philip Kitur heading the religious aspect of this. And then we have economic empowerment headed by Professor Moses Langat, who is based in UK. So if you don't mind, sorry for taking 1 minute more. I think we can have a meeting again next week, if you don't mind, on this CBC, because it is really the main thing. The trending topic in Kenya is about CBC. So I don't know what you feel, Professor Cherono, if you tell us, we can have a meeting again so that the people who have really attended, and I thank the people who have really participated. We were over 42 at one time. So maybe next week we can give a chance to people who do not have a chance to contribute. I've talked too much. Wacha nifikia nipati Sabila. We'll close with a word of prayer, and then we can leave at our own pleasure. Thank you very much. And I thank Professor Gerono for giving us the Zoom platform. Although we wrote as if it is, we have our own platform, but I don't think we can accommodate up to 1,000 people the way Professor Gerono Rotich's Zoom platform can do. She can accommodate up to 1,000. Thank you very much, Professor. God bless you. And you are one of the most sought after professionals. I know you are the best teacher in the state of North Carolina, and you have been poached to go to Indiana by the judges, literally because of the talent that you possess. And you do so much. I wanted to read your bio. Maybe next week I'll read your bio so that people know the kind of talent that we have within us. Wacha nifikishe hapo. Thank you very much. Too much talk na ribu mambo. Wacha tuache ikiwa tamu. Asante sana. Sabila, you can take over.
Asante sana, Rubani. Thank you so much for your kind words of encouragement, and also the comments you have given about what we have been doing, as well as the various resource persons that we have, including our prof. Thank you so much. From myself also, I want to say thank you so much to everybody that has been here. I think that has been an amazing evening, well spent, very enriching, very thought-provoking, and that kind of thing. And it just goes to emphasize the kind of enrichment we can get from networking, and of course the advantage we have of technology being able to link us up from the various corners of the earth. Thank you so much. I want to invite any volunteer who can pray.
Let me pray.
Yes.
Sabila.
Thank you. Welcome, Rose.
Okay. Our God and our Father, we just want to give you thanks for this evening, that you have brought us together as a group of professionals, as a group of individuals, as a group of people who have a desire to see our nation take its rightful place. Father, we want to say thank you for Professor Cherono, who has ably given us a platform to share our thoughts. Thank you also for Professor Some. Thank you, Lord, for each individual who has got a heart for the nation and who desires that Kenya progresses, especially in this area of education. I pray, Father, that we will continue to watch over everybody, and you watch over the work that we do, and that we shall be able to accomplish great and mighty things in your name. So even as we disperse this evening, may you continue to put it in our hearts to think of things that are good, things that are pleasant, things that are excellent, so that we can contribute and make this nation what it should really be. We bless you, oh God. We thank you for our chairman. We thank you for our vice chairman. We thank you for the committee. We thank you for the good network that has been sustained throughout this evening. And we pray, Father, that there'll be more engagements of this level, and that you will receive all the glory and all the honor. For we have prayed this in the dear name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rose. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Asanteni sana. God bless you. Yes, you are free to leave.